it earlier today.
I
Like I said, it
kind,
looked pretty
I,
damn awesome.
I hope so. I mean, if I want it to be good, I really do. I really want to enjoy it. And
I
oh
mean, yeah,
God,
it's the final go around for the next gen crew.
it is, and I have my ideas of what it should happen, who should be involved in the storylines and all that stuff. And they touched on it a little bit in season two when they got into the Riker and Troy and all that, and there were some nice moments in that that really made season two good. But the whole plot line was,
I thought the Riker and Troy was season one.
was it?
Yeah,
Oh, you're right. It was
the
season one. It was the okay. Yeah, so that made season one, and the rest of and season two. Rios, I love the character, but I dislike how they ended his character arc.
yeah, that was just dumb.
I did like Agnes of Borg. That was awesome.
Agnes and Agnes is a button heads with the Borg Queen was perfect. It was
Yeah,
awesome
it
and it
was
was
well written and
hilarious.
well executed. But
But
it's
and even to this day, they still have never revealed what the heck Guinan really is.
yeah, we just kind of have to accept that. The little bit of the Wesley reveal was fine, but now we can pretty much assume that we're not going to see Wesley in this last one. Or are we going to see Wesley in this last one? Ooh, we got to follow. Uh-oh. Hang on a second. Oh.
I hate the fact we won't see Wesley in this last one, but it kind of makes sense, you know.
Hey, Parallax, thank you for the follow. We appreciate it. It's really interesting. According to my phone, my stream ended.
Yeah, I'm looking at my cell phone. And yeah, it's doing that. I'm like, what the heck?
Mar Hockman says, I'm allergic to puppies. They make me angry?
And yeah, just Rob. She did call herself an Illyrian or whatever.
Elorian, yes.
Yeah, but the fact that Q's race, the Q continuum, is edgy about her existence is tells me that there's more to her race than what we know.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to perceive. Well, maybe it's not her race, but they perceive her as some kind of threat individually.
Yeah, that could possibly be it because I mean, the one we saw in Generations did not even show a tenth of the ability,
Mm-hmm.
but yet this Guinan, Q himself is like, oh no. I mean, it's like he's basically looking at like say the doctor or something and going like, "Yep, there goes my fun for the week."
Okay, Mar Hockman says the joke is that puppies annoy the crap out of me. Well, that's fine. Just give them to me. I will take all your puppies for you. It's like when people object to people having different sexual preferences. I'm thinking, dude, that just leaves more for you of the other kinds. Or lady, that just leaves more for you. Chill. Guinan may have unique powers because she's both in and out of the Nexus at the same time. Hey, that's really interesting, Mar Hockman.
That's actually a theory. I mean, it probably could give her a connection to, you know, the fabric of the universe because we know that the Nexus is some type of temporal anomaly of
Right,
some,
right.
and so it could be her connection to that could give her an ability to perceive things differently. Like
Mm-hmm.
she might see, despite all the power Q has, see what they really are and know how to deal with them.
WC says, which means so does Kirk and Picard. The problem is Kirk's dead.
Well,
But
not quite. Who cares? Remember, Kirk and Picard left it of their own volition. Guinan was yanked out of it. It's basically like a chunk of her, a piece of her is still in there, whereas they left out as they went in, whole and completely human. Where Guinan is basically
there may
existing in
be
two
something
places at
inherent
once.
in her race when existing in this simultaneously in out state that allows her to have different abilities than a human would have. So maybe it's just they don't have those skills.
Highly possible there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is an alien race. We can do anything we want to with it.
Exactly. I mean, it's kind of like how Gary Mitchell still shows up in some of the media, despite supposedly being dead. But how can you kill something like that?
Jumping back a moment here, WC says, we finally finished Star Trek Enterprise last night. The look on my partner's face at the end was priceless. In horror?
Horror would be a good, proper way to
It's
classify that.
you ended it that way?
Oh, no one liked how that ended.
Oh, no, 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 no. That was awful. I will admit, I pretty much liked Enterprise, but what a terrible way to end it. Though I love the concept that Trip wasn't really killed, that they used that to cover his moving to work with Section 31.
Yeah, one thing I wouldn't have minded seeing is the end, in my opinion, would have been the decommissioning happens, and it basically has to deal with Archer becoming the first president of the Federation.
Oh, that would have been a cool start.
Yeah, it would have basically left it open for them to revisit that area with, Archer trying to deal with everything because, case in point, during his administration, the Earth Romulan War went into full swing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really weak ending, which, after seeing the ending that they had for TNG, great ending, well written, well done, well executed. I wasn't, Deep Space Nine, great ending. Voyager, it's okay for an ending.
Voyager's ending was good for what it was because they had to come up with some way to get them back to the beta, to Earth.
They had to get back to Earth, but it was
and it also fit into, and future Janeway fit into how Janeway's personality
But they had like 12 opportunities to go back to Earth early.
Yeah.
And they didn't take any of them. That's just bad writing, and they didn't know how it was going to end before they started with the damn thing.
It was super.
They probably didn't expect it to last that long, but it did.
Yeah, but when you know you're going into the last season, they had to know they were going to make season 7 the ending one. The whole season could have built to that moment.
It's weak writing.
Yeah, it is, and it's actually one of the issues that's well known about Voyager is really inconsistent writing and inconsistent. I hate to say the word, but research. So it was just getting to the point of throw anything against the wall and see what stuck.
My issue is that the writers did not know how to write women.
No,
They were
you
either sex
think?
toys or entirely heartless.
I like some of their work with 7, but perhaps there was some.
Was horrible. It was horrible.
No, it was not horribly
They
written.
put her in freaking silver spandex to keep.
Okay, she was horribly costumed, but in terms of character and dialogue, there were some good moments. I still think the Doctor was probably the best written in terms of character development.
Personally, I believe that Robert Picardo took the script and made it his own.
I have no doubts that he would have done that.
Because he's probably the only one in that entire series that had the clout to do it.
Clout and ability?
Oh yeah, clout and ability.
Yeah, ability has to measure into there someplace.
I mean, he wasn't a hugely important character in the beginning, but he was vital towards the end.
Yeah, it was interesting. The character that they assumed was going to be the breakout character was Neelix, and that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Neelix basically became the Jar Jar
Because
Binks.
he was freaking annoying.
He is the Jar Jar Binks. Thank God the man who does the acting has got a sense of humor about it. Let's see, the writing Enterprise and Voyager was lacking when compared to DS9. Yeah, well, with DS9 they had story arcs with a consistent writing team that knew what they wanted and how they were going to get there. And that's
precisely.
Yeah, and that's part of it. If you're mapping out an entire storyline, sorry about that. I was talking to the dog there. If you're mapping out an entire storyline and you know what you want to have happen, it's a lot easier to make it happen than if you're just like, we're going to write a single episode and there isn't an arc. I'm so sorry. Are you okay, little girl?
I had to stop watching Enterprise after Dr. Flock said that he couldn't in good conscience create a cure for the disease. That was in like season 2, episode 4 or
Yeah.
something. And it's like, that is the literal definition of adaptation. Artificial adaptation. You've changed everything about all of these crews already, and this, you've got to prepare them going down to the planet to actually help these people as it is. But you can't create a cure. I mean, viruses are designed to kill people too, but you still get rid of those.
Well, viruses aren't designed. Oh, okay. Are you talking about artificially designed or naturally happen to do that?
Well, the ones that, well, are bioweapons, the ones that
Hmm.
are, tailored towards a specific species or whatever.
Yeah.
The thing that bothered me the most about the whole thing was I thought that uh, I thought he did a fantastic job, but the writing was so limited
Yeah.
in the early part of it that there
Hmm.
was nothing to look forward to, and I never really saw an improvement.
Well, Emma Steele Farr, who I'm going to always say wrong, um, in DS9, I even liked the filler episodes, especially the Benny episodes. The filler episodes in Voyager were terrible. Janeway on a holodeck being a Victorian teacher or whatever. Well, yeah. Janeway,
I
Paris,
agree there.
lizard babies. Yes, yes, Sav, you are 100% right.
We're not
That,
sovereign. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. God, no, I did not see that. La 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 la.
yeah, that's still the moment in the show when it's like, what?
That
Okay,
ranks right up there
shoot,
with Crusher's Ghost.
Yeah, I much as I love Beverly centered episodes, that one was uh, and the whole premise of this ghost has been the lover of all the women in the family for generations is just cringe, 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 cringe.
Yeah, it's a case of wait, what,
Yeah,
what? No,
yeah.
no.
I mean, I want to go back. There's a couple of moments in TNG that I want to redo. One is Will Riker with the Trill symbiont getting it on with Beverly. That's just a no moment.
I would base that was definitely a no right there. It could have been anybody else but Will.
No, a doctor wouldn't do that with her patient, is my point.
And Will, he kind of knew that,
And wouldn't do it with the
yeah,
patient who's in essence her brother. Ugh. Ugh.
e- exactly.
It was like, no, nope, nobody, nope, nope, nope.
Another one, God, well, of course, we all know Beverly. Uh, the whole thing involving the holodeck, Will Riker and the holodeck ghost. That
The hell?
holodeck program that was, that he fell in love with. What the heck, Will?
Oh, not sonata. It was a piece of music. Um, 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 um. What was her name?
I can't remember.
It started with an S, didn't it?
Yeah,
Minuet. Rob
Minuet.
said
Yeah,
Minuet. Correct. Let's see. Remember, Riker is the guy who slept with an alien dignitary as a way of getting to know her. Well, that's Kirk politics.
yeah,
Angel
that
One was
worked.
a
Yeah, but that kind of worked with Kirk. Riker,
hold
they
on,
could have
hold
done
on.
so much more with him.
Captain Pike did the exact same thing in Strange New Worlds.
yeah, but it doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
Angel One was a pretty good episode, but why? Why do they have so many people sleeping with the Angel One people? Yeah, I agree.
And who cares? What do you mean about? What are you talking about? The USS Alabama, buddy?
Data should have turned into a laptop. I agree with that.
The DS9 writing team also showed how much fun and good character work one can do with Loaxana Troy. Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, she was a better written character than I think she was. I'll go back and occasionally see her in both TNG and DS9 episodes, and she's actually a well written character. She has good evolution of character. It's not all positive, deals with long things, and she's got a sense of humor, which is important. Um, Everyone de-evolved in Genesis except Data, who should have been turned into a laptop.
No, 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 Savi. Data would have turned into something much more advanced than a laptop. He would have turned into a tablet.
Genesis raised a strange question. Why did Barclay devolve into a spider? Yeah, I know.
It,
Devolution, if it works, probably wouldn't work that way. Okay, Sav's given us an image here. What has Sav given us? Okay, yeah. Worf meets something. What is that? That's something. But it does go into, who thought that was going to be a good episode? They seem to understand that she was effectively an aristocrat and a diplomat, but she was also capable of stepping up no matter the circumstances. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, here was another one. When Troy got hit with that psychic wave in the cell and was living that whole other life.
Say that again?
It was a episode where a character committed suicide, but no
Oh,
one knew
that
why.
one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was. I was like, wait, what?
Well, episodes like that we need to turn over to WC because he has a way of putting a spin on an episode by just taking a couple of minor changes, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that would have been a much better episode. Mark Hockman
The
reminds us.
premise was interesting, but the fact that Deanna was a scion, a psychic talent. She should have known that there was something wrong with that. Something
But
wrong.
she's not psychic. She's an empath.
Well, you get the idea, but
Yeah.
still, it was just strange how it was all done, and I'm like, what?
Troy's character makes more sense as the daughter of an aristocratic family who didn't want to be known for her family lineage. They didn't make enough of that. Yeah, the Imzadi books actually do a much better job of her wanting to be known for her own skill sets and not being her mother and father's daughter.
I'm with you on that one. Who cares?
Yeah. And Saab says Luoxana was my kind of woman. Knows what she wants and how to get it and doesn't take anything from anyone. Definitely.
The problem is, though, sometimes what she wanted, such as I remember vividly her taking interest in both Picard and Odo. They weren't too interested in themselves.
The thing with being interested in Picard, I always wondered as the character developed if she had done that specifically to just put him in a most uncomfortable position.
Honestly, considering what we know about Luoxana Troy, it would not surprise me.
Yeah, because he's very, very established in that role, and she would probably, given her character, love to just ruffle his feathers and put him back on his heels and make him react.
Well, and the situation she usually did that was a situation where he needed to not be how he normally was, but something else.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is it was all part of her plans. Like, okay, John Luke, I need you to step up and let's do things this way.
Yeah.
And her way of doing that was basically flirt with him and see how badly she could drive him crazy to the point where he would react the way she wanted him to react.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Musclefar says, during the first time watching Voyager, I always had the feeling that the series basically consists of two types of episodes. Boring fillers, and episodes where Voyager gets destroyed, or very nearly, and is all fixed by sending a reverse something or other warp wave thingy through the shield emitters. Yes, it is technobabble. It is saved by technobabble. Her empathic talents should have been given some key limitations, such as not being able to detect beyond a certain distance. Light years away was just silly. Well, if you haven't figured out how empathy would work, empathic skills like that would work, it's very hard to establish parameters. So, yeah, let's say it's something physical, which is alluded to when we're in that encounter with Deanna and the two dimensional space beings that somehow interrupted her ability to sense stuff. And for a woman who should have her act together, goes all kind of berserk. But yeah, so obviously something physical interrupted it. So that means it's carried on some sort of wave. So yeah, light years away just doesn't work. And WC says reverse the anti-tachyons through the shield emitters to disengage the hyperbolic anti-proton array. Oh no, Harry's dead again. Oh well.
I swear to God, Harry Kim has died more times than Optimus Prime.
Let's see. Mustelfar says, I think Loaxana would do something like that, embarrass someone like Picard just to see what happens, and inwardly laugh her ass off. I actually wrote a fanfic in which I had a character who just would passively needle Picard just to provoke reactions, and and do it innocently. Just that, oh, well, what do you think of this? And he just clearly is getting uncomfortable. I'm sure I stole that somewhat from Loaxana's doing it. Is there damage to the hull plating? Darn it. Well, let's wait until next week's episode. So there was an episode, The Year of Hell. I think it was a two-parter. It was actually supposed to be an entire season of the ship being critically damaged, everybody being injured or, severely injured, some people dead. Life support, food, everything is on critical levels, and they were going to make that an entire season arc, which would have been really good. And instead they reduced it to a two-part episode, which then again, in the end, by the end of the episode, everybody's hunky-dory, peachy keen, and going on to the next one.
Yeah, that was a problem with Voyager. There was no consequences for everything they got themselves into.
Yeah. Let's see. The two-dimensional beings overloaded Deanna's telepathy, and she's going around like someone who's blind from staring at the sun. Her empathic abilities were limited. She's an empath counselor, so useless that everybody who really has problems goes to the bar to Guinan.
You know what? Yep. I gotta give that one. I gotta give them. Yep.
And the only time people go to her is when they have to. Think about it. She's got all these people coming to see her, and almost all of them at some point go, well, I just can't make the session this week. Or, gee, I think you've done all you can do to cure me. So, yeah, really good. WZ, that Loaxana is doing. Picard, such naughty thoughts, Jean-Luc. That's actually one of those wonderfully written lines. And executed so well, too.
It's Loaxana Troy. Whenever she had an episode, it was going to be hilarious.
Yeah. The actor pointed out that she became little more than an Oracle plot device. I assume we're talking about Deanna, WC, not Troy. Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like it, Deanna, because a lot of stuff that happened was, because she picked up something like the Hushnik, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Also in, what was it, the last movie? Where she's able to sense... Yeah, where she's able to sense him by putting her hand on the map. What?
I'm sorry, but that's a telepathic sense of there, right there.
I'm not sure. I think that's more like Ouija board.
Yeah.
What happened?
That's the kind of stuff you would see Charles Xavier do.
Yeah, exactly. Troy class radar system, exactly. And I wanted Nemesis.
Hey, Cryptic, I got an idea for a new console, but guys, call me sometime.
You should put that in tomorrow for 10 forward. Sav says, keep doing that voodoo that you do so well. Oh, yeah. You got it, Sav. That was Star Trek copying Babylon 5. Yeah. It was just awful writing.
Yeah. That's saying something. And Babylon 5 was supposed to be the inferior, but in many ways it was superior.
I like Bab 5. I preferred the guy before Bruce Boxleitner. What was his name?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Sinclair. Yeah.
I hate what happened to him.
Yeah.
And I knew the guy that played Garibaldi.
Yeah! Interesting guys.
Oh, he made him. I knew him in real life.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I didn't know him, but I knew him.
Well, what happened with me was he would come down to some of the conventions I frequented, and sometimes I would work at, just because they were short and they asked me to help out. Well, they needed a gopher that would be, helping him around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I was doing was basically carrying around a cooler with his favorite beer and making sure I had his cigar stocked, and it was hilarious. It was like, okay, man, good work. Come on, let's you and me go to the bar. I'm buying, and I'm like, okay.
Yep. Let's see. The Shadow War,
And
it was figured out the telepaths could help with targeting Shadow and Vorlon ships and bypass their stealth systems. Oh, that's right.
But the other story involving him was he actually showed up at the convention, not as a guest, but just to show up at the convention,
Mm-hmm.
just to be a convention goer. And he's like, he sees me, hey, buddy, come on, let's go. Party time. And I'm like, oh, God, no. Here we go.
Well, there's a fair number of people who show up at conventions unofficially, and that's when things get fun.
Yeah, the lady that played, God, in. She played on Farscape, the blue skin one.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name.
Yes, I know who you mean.
Yeah, she showed up again when I moved down here and I started having to, I would go to local conventions. She showed up multiple times, not as a guest, but just because she could.
Yeah. Oh God, what was her
She
name?
said she had fun she had fun hanging around us.
Virginia Hay.
Yeah, Virginia had.
Yeah. So my son loved Bab 5 and loved her in it, and we went to one of the conventions that she was at, and there's nobody at her booth at that moment, and she spent like 45 minutes just talking with him, not just about the show, but just in general. Impressed the heck out of my son. But then again, I will say that my son took his book of Shakespeare to Patrick Stewart to get it autographed, and he's like, okay, what's your favorite play? So my son said which one, I can't remember what, Merchant of Venice. And he starts doing Merchant of Venice. Just, my son was so happy. I was so happy. I think everybody in the audience was so happy at that moment.
Yeah, some of them are actually pretty good about, dealing with the fans and all that.
Oh, yeah. Most of the Star Trek people are. Let's see, Uhura did it first with, it's got to have a tailpipe, right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, something I was going to ask. You guys have any openings in your fleet right now?
Sure, absolutely.
Hello, Mom.
Yeah.
I wanted to come say hello.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Well, that's good to hear.
Playing Call of Duty with some friends, but I saw that
Excellent.
you were on to say hello.
Well, my class got canceled. Not that I was going to go to class tonight anyway, but I'm stuck in Indy for one more day, and I thought, I've got the computer, I've got a microphone, I've got one monitor, I can do a show.
Okay.
Even though it's still saying the broadcast has ended for some reason.
Well, it's showing I'm here. It's showing I'm here, but my phone keeps telling me that the broadcast has ended. I can't turn up.
Okay, I'm using my phone.
Yeah, my phone keeps cutting out. Let me see what I can do there, Sav.
But I just wanted to come say hello.
Well, thank you. It's so nice of you to be here. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And
But I got to get back to them because we're
Yep.
in the
Yeah, I
middle
know.
of doing Battlegrounds.
I understand how that goes. Go join them. Go beat up things. We'll be here.
It's more like shoot people in the face, but yeah.
Oh, there's something to be said for that.
Sometimes they deserve it.
Sometimes. I won't get into exactly why, but somebody yesterday was asking, are you suicidal? No. Are you homicidal? Long pause. Sometimes.
Well, we've been being really mean to players. Like, we've been getting up on this one building and onto the silos and holding the area like there's no tomorrow because all three of us have snipers with ammo crates. So we keep restocking each other.
So you're having a good time.
That's just wrong.
No,
I know, right?
No. That's never wrong.
So yeah, we're having a blast doing it.
Excellent. Hey, that's what it's all about.
Right. All right. You guys have a good day.
You too. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah,
See ya.
no problem.
Jumping back here a little bit, Mustelfar says, I think my two favorite characters in Star Trek are Quark and Garrick. Quark for being quirky, fun character without being a Jar Jar, and Garrick for his depth and wit. Yeah, Garrick was well written and well acted.
Oh, Garrick, I loved it. He was
Yeah.
one of my favorite characters in
Oh, yeah.
DS9,
Yeah.
especially when they started expanding him out and showing more of what he was.
Yeah. really well done. If you want, if done right, the overuse of Uhura the wrong way. See Jar Jar Abrams Star Trek. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's fine to make that a character, but that wasn't the Uhura that we knew from the series. Finally, work out how a freighter subspace call could have gone. Uhura learning Klingon, saying for the state dinner, the Chancellor giving her a quick background on it with a comment about the original way it was said, and her using that to get past the listening station, which basically sweet talks the Klingon guy. Yeah, that would have worked. I mean,
Yeah, better than, because I'm sorry, Uhura, she was basically said to be basically a master of just about every known language, and yet she didn't understand Klingon with all the times that, Kirk and the crew dealt with Klingons in the early days.
Yeah. That way they rescue Kirk and McCoy using knowledge of Klingon love poetry provided by the Chancellor. Yeah, that actually would have been brilliant. CWC, you can fix all these things. We need to get you out there and you write these stories the way they should be written. And it would have taken a little bit more wordsmithing, but it would have been good. Plus, it's what my son loves about making a circle in a story, so where something you drop in at the beginning circles around and has meaning and impact later.
That's always a good way to do things sometimes.
Yeah.
Like something that could be just a little hint. Like Supernatural was good. The Supernatural series was actually good about that. Like the first episode would drop a little hint about something that's coming and it'd circle back around to it.
Yeah. I watched or listened to a podcast called God Awful Movies, which they discuss how movies, particular movies, these are all religious oriented movies, and they'll pick them apart and they will point out things like that, which is, if you're going to put in a plot point with a teaser about the plot point, come back and finish it.
Yeah, I agree.
As opposed to just put it in there and you're like, okay, this is a really critical story plot point because you put it in here. No, it's not. We're never going to come back to that again.
Yeah, that's what I liked about some shows. They in the first episode they could toss in something innocuous that would be connected to the overarching season storyline, and near the end it all come together, and I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that.
Yeah. There's a book called Holes, which, kid's book, teenager book. And it does that perfectly. Everything ties together at some point. I mean, even, a stupid plot point or a story point at the very beginning about a pair of shoes is important at the end of it. And it all ties back. And it's just this nice little complex way of how to write a book. Sav. Less naked Uhura in Star Trek. Yes, please. Thank you. Do we see naked guys in these? No. Then we don't need a naked Uhura. You're not inexpensive, WC. You're budget friendly. Dear Wordsmith, you should know these things by now.
But anyway, Mom, the reason I was asking is I got a tune. The fleet I'm in is dead. I'm probably one of the only ones logging on. And, well, I got a couple of tunes just floating around doing nothing.
Okay, what do you want them in? First of all, Federation or Klingon?
Federation.
Do you want them in an established fleet or you want them in an up-and-coming fleet?
Up and coming, because they do have a lot of resources I can probably make use of.
Okay, then let me give you your choice here. We have the Screaming Litas, which is about a tier 3. I think there's a couple other groups out there who are about tier 3. And then, do we have anybody who's littler than that? Let me take a look here. I can only invite you to the ones I'm in, but I can go through them for you. Let's get this page back up here.
Screaming Leader sounds good.
Okay. Screaming Litas. We are determined to get Screaming Lita t-shirts or jackets or something for the next convention. And get Chase to sign them. All right, now I got to remember who's in the Screaming Litas. La 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 la. Oh, Kethra's in the Screaming Litas. There we go. And if they don't have what you want from the stores, just let us know and we'll pop you over to the main one so you can go buy stuff.
Not a problem. Of course, right now this character's low on a lot of resources, so I'm not going to be buying from any fleet banks right now.
All right, which tune would you like me to invite?
Um, look for Takao. Takao.
Okay. You have been invited to the Screaming Litas.
And got it.
Great. Anything else you need an invite to?
That's it. I'm good.
Okay. Find you do. We're always happy to have players join us. So I was saying earlier that Ver, for those of you who know Ver, better known as Neumann, made a rare appearance yesterday after not seeing him in the game for a year plus and probably 5 years since he was in it hardcore. So he's not one of the original fleet admirals, but he's been around since the original fleet admirals of Strike Group. So going way back. It's kind of nice to see older players, well, players from long ago returning. Hopefully that's an indicator that maybe the game's picking up again, I hope.
I've seen a few people show up from the old days.
Well, it usually happens at anniversary time because right after anniversary we go into First Contact comes shortly thereafter. Do we have anything in March? This will wrap up at the end of February. Do we have any March events? First Contact is April.
Haven't seen anything.
Okay. Do we see? We did see miniskirt guys in TNG season 1. Yes, we did. That's okay.
And they made it a point to keep the camera on them quite a bit sometimes.
Yeah, way longer. No, that was just not a fashion choice. Let's see. They should have had a gay club on the Enterprise. Who knows if 10 Forward wasn't a gay club? You don't know. I still think they missed an opportunity to have Paris and Kim as a gay couple, especially if they wanted to be particularly explorative. Paris as bi, and how their relationship deals with that as a factor. Yeah, they're not going to do that in Voyager. But then you get the Kim Paris space lizard babies.
Oh boy, yeah, WC, yes, no.
Space lizard babies. That episode could just magically disappear, and no one would ever miss it. The whole concept of exceeding warp 10 and you magically die.
Consider the fact that if memory serves, they broke warp 10 multiple times.
Of course they did.
And nothing ever happened.
I mean, it could be argued that it takes more energy to exceed warp 10 than the benefit would allow for. You know, just like you can't accelerate to full FTL speed because your mass becomes infinite as you approach light speed. Okay, fine. There's some good math behind that. I realize that's the simplified explanation, but okay.
There was a novel, Peter David put it out some years back. Peter David. It was the Federation. Somebody had discovered a second planet killer.
Oh,
TOS.
Okay.
And they were a survivor of a Borg Holocaust. So yeah, you can guess what they were doing, hunting the Borg. Well, they tried to go after the Borg homeworld, but when they tried to break warp 10. Basically, it was like warp 9.9999999. They would never break that final, 10.
Yeah.
That's how it should be right there.
Well, the thing is, it's not really speed per se. It's
a warp in a space and time.
Right, exactly. So at some point, in order to take those points that are so far apart, and in essence warp it to where they're closer together so you can jump the distance, has to take more energy than can be created. But in theory, you could eventually create an engine powerful enough to do it, or you create a different way to do it.
Exactly. I mean, all science fiction has their own ways of FTL. Like Star Wars, they have hyperspace, which is basically they ramp up to a certain speed and then punch a hole through space time into the hyperspace corridor.
Mm-hmm.
Babylon 5's opens jump gates to a
Yep.
hyperspace dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, the name Battlestar Galactica they never really showed, but they did like something like similar to a space fold.
There's ways you can dance around it. They should never have allowed transwarp, another rule break with new problems. We know that transwarp only didn't work 50 years earlier because Scotty removed the fuses from the Excelsior.
Yep.
Thank you, Scotty.
Yeah. That sounds like Scotty.
Yep.
And the Borg having transwarp, that's their own little thing. Honestly, transwarp, in my opinion, is hyperspace.
Okay.
It's the same thing. They open up they basically go to a certain speed and then punch a hole into a hyperspace dimension and use that to travel around.
Yeah, I mean, if you get outside of the dimensionality that we're existing in, sure, we can mess with things because we don't know what the physics are there. I'm reminded of how ships have what's called hull speed, where it takes more energy to push past that speed, and the ship has to go over the water rather than through it, thus speedboats. So going over Warp 10 would need what amounts to a warp engine speedboat. Oh, okay.
He is right, because some boats, and you're talking to someone who lives on the water, who, worked on the water for several years. Yeah, I mean, some boats, big, slow, yeah, they were in the water, but the speed boats, the cigarette boats,
Mm-hmm.
they more or less just bounced across the water.
Right. So that's a really good analogy. Now we just have to figure out how to do it, but that's a different story. It's never stopped us yet.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Certainly.
My dog wants to use the restroom, so I'm going to go take her out right fast.
Yeah, we're going to have to go take puppy walks
she's
here.
giving me that cute puppy look, and patting my leg.
So Loki, who is living on a slightly different speed when she's with me, knows that when she needs to go out, she will paw my chest. And she was doing that at 4 this morning while I'm dealing with a migraine. I'm like, no, we are not going out. And then I realized I can't just throw her out the back door like I can with my dogs. So the dog forced me to get up and take ibuprofen, then go back to bed so I could walk her. If it hadn't been for you, Loki, I could have taken the day off and been sick at home. Frost says, look up the Alcubari Drive. And I know I'm saying that wrong, but he's right. I have read up on that, courtesy of Frost. I thought of Warp 10 as more like Lightspeed for us, something that can't even be theoretically be broken. Yeah. But the thing is, if there is a Warp 10 and we need to go faster, because it is our writing, and it's not necessarily that real, we could figure out a way to do it. If we wanted to. Alcubierre. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Alcubierre? Alcubierre. Frost wrote it out there. You can all go figure it out. Suppose it would be funny if I forgot to play with the game here for just a moment and managed to screw this up. Where is this one going? Oh, nowhere. Great. That's great. I'm good. Yay. Would anybody like to do anything, Defense Starbase 1, or anything related to the Endeavors or anything? So, Mustelfar says, when you create a set of rules for your sci-fi or fantasy system, you should be careful not to break it with no good reason, otherwise people with views might complain. Oh, that's true. You do need to establish what your basic rules are for your universe, and you have to stick to them, because otherwise it's just bad writing. I mean, you can go back and you can change your writing. So I needed a way to do faster than light, because if you're going to do an intergalactic war, which I was writing, you need to have a way to have people fight each other, and if it takes 25 years to get from one planet to the next, it's not going to make for a very exciting book. As it is, saying you've got 6 months travel between here and there, it's a long time. So wormholes, Turner tunnels, things like that, where you create a way for people to travel faster than light, is about the only way you can make it interesting and keep people reading it or watching it. Voyager could have gotten home by a wormhole without inventing the magic drive. Frost says Heisenberg compensators, yes. WC, so true. The problem is twofold. People who won't notice won't like it, so it's not for them. The people who aren't invested don't notice anyway, so who's it for? If you're writing it, it's always for you first, because it has to be consistent in your brain. And as you've written stuff, Frost has written stuff, and more than once you get up in the middle of the night and go back and just delete the chapter because, it didn't work in your head. And you're the one who's got to live with it getting out there. But we know from Star Trek Wiki how well that works. How does the Heisenberg compensator work? Very well, thank you. Badum Tish, excellent. So Voyager had a magic drive and STD has the mushroom drive. Does that mean the magic mushroom drive is next? Yes. Yes, it does. We all can do hand waving and trailing through space. Ooh. Oh, sorry. Oh, I said that and Loki jumps up going, what's going on? What's going on? Here, you have a pillow. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to scare you, dear. Obviously, my full-time dog, not the part-time dog, does not sit on my lap since she weighs 65 pounds, and that would be uncomfortable. Yeah, I've never been thrilled with Star Trek Discovery's techno-babble. And unfortunately, it's the first thing that hit me was bad techno-babble, and I've never been able to shake it for Discovery. With Lower Decks, they play it up as techno-babble when they do it, and they don't do it a lot, so yay. And I haven't had a problem with Strange New Worlds with that. I think because it's just not hyper-focused on technology. It's more driven by character, which I think is why I like TOS, too. Guys, the conversation's up to you. I'm here by myself. Chat, talk, print things, type things up. Well, in that case, if you guys aren't going to chat with me, I should find myself a planet. What's around here? What's around these places? DS9? Probably DS9. Frost says, I've gotten yelled at 4 times in the last hour about talking. Yeah, interplanetary beaming. Really good point. No. I realize why you do it. It's to drive a story, but it's a bad idea. No, I didn't want Defura. I wanted DS9. Why did you give me Defura? I mean, the whole concept of being able to beam somebody anyplace doesn't work mathematically. But then you add in the whole distance factor, and it really starts to not work.
Better hurry. Who knows what mischief the Breen could do with an unstabilized omega particle?
Oh, hush up. There we go. And I don't know that it was necessary for that plot line. I mean, they had so much tech going on in the Star Trek movies. And I liked the Star Trek movies, at least the first and the third ones I liked. Second one, I like Benedict Cumberbatch, but he was absolutely wasted in that. And Idris Elba was wasted in the last one. And I love Idris Elba. But they were at least doing something with the story there. A little too much fan service. honestly, we're really good if you just give us new content. I promise, we'll watch it if you give us new content. I like how Stargate kept their rules as unrealistic as they were, at least halfway consistent. Yeah, you really, really have to do that. Now, if Star Trek the reboots had come up with a whole new series of technobabble and stuck with it, great. But again, you don't need to have so much tech, you don't need to have so much battle and so much babble if you've got good characters and an interesting plot. And that's why TOS and TNG worked better than Voyager for me, because it was driven more by characters and plot. Okay, so Mustelfar says, I like Benedict Cumberbatch a lot, but I'd rather have another Sherlock episode than him in that Star Trek movie. So somebody approached Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman and said, hey, if you were offered to do another Sherlock, would you consider it? And they both said, yes, if the script is good. So keep your fingers crossed on that one. We may actually see that in our lifetimes, which would make me happy. So I haven't figured out, but when I was doing something, I managed somehow to pick up 4 slivers when I was only picking up 3 of each shard. I can't see how I could do that, but okay, fine. If you want to give me extra slivers, I will take it. Oh, where am I? I did this so I could check where I'm at. Okay. Well, not as bad as I thought. Thought I had to do like 500 of each. I only have to do 300 of each now. Frost. Distance is meaningless in quantum field theory. As long as there is composite energy in the beginning and the end of the particle connection, they can be upwards of light years apart. All we need is a way to stimulate particles at a distance, and interplanetary or intersystem travel would be simple. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle would still have to be overcome, but that is the only real limitation. Okay, so let's get away from that. We know that matter can only move up to the speed of light. Well, probably not even that fast, but that's the limitation. And yet the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light. So I wonder if there's a way to work that into a storyline. The expansion drive. Let's see. I've started listening to more and more about what the state was for the Big Bang, before the Big Bang started the massive expansion, and I don't understand the verbiage yet in terms about false quantum vacuums and real quantum vacuums and changing state between the two and all that good stuff. But once I get to understand that, I'm sure I can technobabble myself a new drive system. Sherlock is a passion project for both. The last season of Sherlock, they couldn't have afforded either one at market prices, but it took so long to make it happen because they couldn't get a date where both were available. I will say the last season of Sherlock was way over the top, not my favorite, but just for the car scene with the housekeeper driving the sports car was worth it. Sav says the Big Bang happened because JB farted. Ha 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 ha. James Burke?
I think yeah, it sounds right.
The universe expanding faster than the speed of light has to do with the perspective of the observer and not the speed the materials are moving. Well, right, it's not the materials that are moving, it's the space that's expanding, which is, you just have to kind of drop every concept you've got and wrap your head around this concept being completely different and just moving differently in your brain. And then you get that moment of, oh, I like those moments. I was doing organic chemistry and wasn't getting it, and started reading my textbook one day and it was just like, oh, that's what they mean. And it went from being the worst class I ever had to being one of the most fun ones, not to mention that the teacher taught us how to make TNT on the first day, but that was a good day. Okay, yeah, I can do another mission. This is going to be my last mission for the night, so let me know what you'd like to do. Because I'm going to go take Loki out so I can get a good night's rest, though she's asleep on the pillow at the moment. Yeah, does anybody need to do a mission? Anybody need to do Defense Starbase 1 or anything else?
I need to do Starbase 1.
Well, we can do Starbase 1 with you. Let me just check this real quick. What's pending? Oh, Boogeyman. Yes, there you go. Thank you very much. Federation KDF, do you have a preference?
Fed works.
Okay. Let's see. I want to find
I need to
somebody-
level up my Fed character, my KDF character some more.
Okay. Well, we ought to have a level up evening in the near future. So if I get back to Chicago in time, maybe we'll do leveling tomorrow. And we can
Sounds
do
good
that
to
even
me.
as everybody's watching 10 Forward. So who am I inviting for this one?
Takayo. Might as well go ahead and give her some bonuses. Out of all my alts, she's actually the one that's not in the worst shape. No, I mean, to get any of my alts up to parity with Jess, it cost me thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I have to start building some of my stuff, but that's going to all wait till after the anniversary event, which is only a few more weeks now. Speaking of, give me 1 second here. I want to switch
Yeah, I
ships
should.
out.
I'm wondering if I'm going to be able. I wonder if I can buy out the ship right now.
You should be able to. Well, it depends on how much you've got.
1,800. No big deal there. You got to drop a 20 on it.
Grab a better ship here for this one. Calling the expansion of the universe speed is already wrong somehow. It stretches the space where speed is happening, in which doesn't make it subject to the limitations quite. Exactly. But again, my human words are insufficient. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, have to answer the husband's messages. Not that I don't love you guys,
No,
but,
it's
you
fine.
know, husband.
Hey, it's fine.
Alright, so we're going to do Defense of Starbase 1. Anybody else who would like to join us for Defense of Starbase 1? Get it done. I sent you an invitation, Frost.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, when I saw his Defense of Starbase 1 today, I'm like, oh no, how terrible.
Oh, it's such a challenge.
Oh, we get an alpha to join us too. Yay. Yeah, it's like the days when the Universal is 500 fleet credits. Oh, okay, I can do that. So we've got 4 people. If anybody else would like to join us. Okay, I'm going to launch this puppy after I read this real quick. We have no idea how large the universe is. To presume it is expanding, we would have to know the dimensions of scope, which we don't have the first clue. We can observe somewhere in the range of 35 billion light years according to the JWST, but we already found radiographs that suggest far more. Yeah. Yep. Sav says, it's huge, bigger than my tummy. Not going there, Sav. Let's see, I'll be nice. Let's just make sure we're not going to have a problem here. We're good. Weeboo?
Wee woo.
Ow!
Alpha got Weeboo. And somebody's in pain.
Mm.
Hmm.
Sorry.
That's okay. Frosty got a Weeboo?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. And
It
Frost,
wasn't me. It wasn't me. Was it Frost?
Frost has lost his voice, so we're trying to get him to just stay quiet and not talk.
Listen up. The war.
I'm terrible at following directions.
Yeah. You said you're taking medication?
Yeah.
Good.
I was going to make sure I don't lose my throat entirely, but it's certainly not fun.
Yeah. It's not strep, is it?
No, it's just a cold.
Okay.
Here they come.
And it's all I've had going on. It's just like not even really a thing. But I gotta make the people in the house happy. That's the important.
Yes, you do. If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And Frost is right, Sav. We do love you. Well, it sounds like somebody's got anti-proton beams.
Yeah, it's this. Can't even tell what type it is.
Ah. It's got such a distinctive sound.
Yeah, it's a Sam, I think. They got the APs.
There's a great incoming warp signatures. We may have a short amount of time before more arrive.
Oh, I've got to pull that off there. That drives me nuts.
They got one of those old pilot ships.
Reading some heavier ships incoming. Raiders and battle cruisers. The evacuation ship is launching. Give them cover.
Bright light. It'd be fun to have a device like that up in space and everybody on Earth just go, what? And then just disappears.
them cover. Klingons are regrouping again. Get into position to prepare for the next assault. Here come the Klingon battleships. Keep fighting.
For anyone making comments, I will read them in just a moment.
The evacuation ship is launching. Give them cover.
Roosevelt is in need of aid. Draw off some of those enemy ships.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah?
That'll hold them off. For now.
Kind of fun, even though it was really weird not being able to one-shot him.
From Muslafar. I think one problem is that we think in fixed dimensional scales, which is wrong on a fundamental level since the whole thing itself is stretching, and on the same line year as the other three dimensions probably isn't as simple to imagine as it seems. That's where things start to get really hard to get your head around. Yeah.
My head hurts.
To which Saab responds, easy, just like your mother, Trebek. Ha ha, the day is mine. Thank you, Saab. That was a fine comment on the evening. All right, folks, I'm going to go walk El Doggo, which means that'll be the end of the show for me tonight. I'm hoping to be back in Chicago at a reasonable hour and have a show tomorrow. So, let's see if there's anybody out there who needs to be rated today.
Well, always a pleasure to talk to you, Mom, and thanks for letting me be on the voice chat.
My pleasure to have you joining. I love it when you're here. Love it when everybody's here.
Not a problem. Anyway, I'll see you later, okay?
Take care. Let's see who's out there tonight. Good. I can spell this, and Loki's doing the dance of wild anticipation. So we've got Old Crow, ratings, me, Endeavor Game On, Derek Wildstar. Let's have a vote. Who do you guys want to go raid?
Nah, go hit up Endeavor. He's good for it.
Oh, Endeavor's always good, yeah. All
Saab wants us
right.
to raid Polarcade.
Pardon?
Saab wants us to hit Polarcade.
Is Polarcade playing? We can raid Polarcade.
I think Polar Game's been doing Destiny a lot lately.
Yeah, but he's not playing Star Trek Online stuff.
Anyway, see y'all
I
later,
refuse
okay?
to acknowledge other games exist.
Anyway, see y'all later.
Take care. Back to Endeavor. Yeah, no, there's only one game sub. We can't permit people to promote other games. It's just not acceptable. All right, everyone. I will be back in about 9 hours, 6 hours, sometime tomorrow, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So have a great night.
Mom, would you mind pulling us down to another room? I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah, let me pull this, finish this, and then I'll do that. Ooh, thanks somebody for the follow. Appreciate that. Synthandrus, thank you for the follow. All right, we're going to go raid. Have a great night, everyone.